Hello everybody, and welcome to the second half of our class here on Programming Essentials, where we're learning about programming and using Visual Basic. We are moving on to this, like I said, to the second half of this course. Now, most of you are just continuing on from the first semester, so that makes life pretty easy. A lot of things are going to be the same. We do have at least one person I know. As I'm making this video, I haven't actually seen the final roster yet, so I don't even know exactly everybody that's in the class, but I know we had at least one person that was taking the second half of this class that had started it last fall, not this previous fall, but last year during the fall. So there are some changes to the website certainly, and a few changes to how we do things. So I'm going to be repeating some things that some of you probably already know, but they're kind of for the benefit of everybody. And this week is going to be about reviewing some things anyway. So just as a reminder, we have our news and announcements section that I do expect you to check on every day that there's a school day. Okay, so I'll be looking at the access reports for that, and you basically get a point a day for checking in. You know, it doesn't mean, as many of you know, I don't put something there every day, but when I do, it's probably information you need to know. So log into the website at least once a day to get your points for that. If you're not able to do that for some reason, you're out ill or something like that, just send me a message in the one-to-one support forum, because I don't get attendance reports from schools unless I ask for them. So if you were gone, let me know there so that I can verify it with them. Okay, here again, we've got the one-on-one support area where you can ask me any questions you need to. I'm the only one that sees the things you post in there, and then you're the only one that sees the responses I post back to you. Okay, haven't really changed anything in the helpful links and resources area there. We should probably add some things to there as far as some tutorial sites and stuff. We'll have to do that right now. I think the only link that's in there is just one for the downloading Visual Studio 2010 Express. If you need to put that onto a computer somewhere for yourself, there's the link there to that. And I did add that MSDN forum for Visual Basic. This is a much better place to search for answers to any questions you have rather than just Googling it. If you Google questions about using Visual Basic, you're going to get answers for a lot of different versions. You'll find the most current stuff here, and it is much better at finding answers to your problems than, say, just a Google search. So I'm glad I clicked in there. I forgot that I had put that in there, so it's good to point out. We've got our grading information in here, so the grading scale is in here. It's different than at your school, most likely. It's probably a little bit easier grading scale, and I think that's fair because it's harder to take the class online. And then you'll find rubrics for how I'm judging the forum writing you do, and also when we turn in programs, the rubric I use to judge those. So you might want to review those this week for yourself. We don't have to worry about some of that stuff this week, but taking a look at them would be good. Really, just to kind of give you a quick overview, I have changed, and I think I did this before the end of last semester, so some of you have probably seen this, but all the information from past weeks, instead of there were dates on here before, I've changed it to be topics for each of the weeks, so that'll hopefully help you. If you need to go back and review something about if-then statements or select case statements, you can see that that was in this week right here, and bring it out and go back to that if you need to. I do know that one of the disadvantages of how we've set up the course in not having a book is that this is your book. You have to kind of go back and look at this stuff if you want to. One thing I would encourage you to do is, if it works better for you, is maybe go back to some of these lessons where the text portions of the lessons are, and print those pages for yourself if it's easier for you to review it that way. And there are some, I know printing web pages isn't the greatest thing, but Evernote has a pretty good plugin for browsers called Clearly. And when you install Clearly as a plugin, it allows you to just click that little icon in your browser and just boil it down to the text that's important on the page. And so that might help you if you're one of those people that wants to print out some of the information on these pages. But all the past content is here. And like I said, I think I've labeled it in the way that you can find stuff more easily. Current stuff is going to be posted at the top. We are still going to have our weeks. Normally they'll start on Wednesday and end on Tuesday like we had been. Now there's going to be some odd weeks where we have holidays in there and stuff, and we'll adjust. I mean, I think those of you that were a part of this last semester realized that we'll typically make weeks longer by adding a couple days. And this first week is a long week because we're going to start on a Monday and it will finish next Tuesday, January 21st. So you have a couple of extra days in this week, which for some of you getting logged in here and starting out the quarter, that might be helpful and necessary. Now, what I want to do this first week is really just give you a chance to review some topics and ask some questions about things you might have questions about. Okay, so what I've posted here is in this area that's called review questions. Is it's just an area where I have 40 questions in here. And the site's going to call it a quiz. Don't think of it as a quiz. They're really just kind of review questions about important topics that we did in the first half of the class. I based these questions on things that people are kind of making common mistakes with yet. So while they might not have been common mistakes for you, they were common mistakes in the class yet. So what you'll do is you'll just go in there and say attempt the quiz. I went through there and tried it out once, so it's given me a chance to reattempt. You will be allowed to take this as many times as you want, so it's not a quiz, it's just review questions, and take it as many times as you want between now and next Tuesday the 21st, and you will get your highest grade that you've done. So really, in all honesty, by next Tuesday, you should have been able to go through it enough times to get a perfect score, and that's good. That's what I want you to do, because I want you to understand the information in here. Let me just click on reattempt quiz so we can see what this looks like. Basically, when you got a question here and you click in here and you say check, it's going to give you feedback right away about whether you got it right or not. And you do want to keep doing it till you get it right, because getting it right gives you some more information about the topic that's good that I want you to know. If you do get it wrong, it doesn't give you that much information. It just tells you what lesson that you should go back and review. Okay, so like I said, take it the number of times that you need to get a good score on it. It's basically just reviewing a bunch of topics from the first semester. So there are 40 questions there. You'll get a point for each one. Like I said, over the course of the next week, you should be able to go through the times you need to get all the questions right. Make sure you're reading the feedback for the questions, because I put explanations in there that will hopefully help you if you were getting them wrong the first time through. So you have that review question assignment. Don't worry. We're not going to change as far as most of the assignments in this class are going to be about building programs and getting feedback on those programs. But I did want to give us a chance for there to be some review to people that were coming back from previously. And I think for those that were still in the class too, review of some topics was really warranted, because we got to go through things pretty quickly for some people. Okay. So you got the review questions. Now, one thing about this is one change that will happen this semester is you are going to have more quizzes than you did first semester. I didn't really like the quizzing format that we were using, so after that first quiz, I kind of bailed on it. And I'm still new to creating the quizzes in here, and that's why kind of the first time I just made it this review thing that you can do over and over again, so you get a little comfortable with the format too. And down the road, we will be using this format right here for our quizzes in the class as well. But most of the assignments are going to be creating programs, doing that kind of thing. You will also, after this week, do the weekly journal assignments. You don't have to do a journal entry this week, but we'll start that up next week, and that'll be a steady thing like it was last year. I just think, and I'll talk some about that next week. I do want us to change our focus and emphasis of what we're writing about, but I'll talk about that next week when we start doing that again. The last thing you need to take care of this week is there's a question and review form. Okay, so what I'd like you to do in here to kind of help yourself review a little bit again, and maybe in the 40 questions I didn't ask a question that you really still have some kind of question about. Okay, plus I wanted to give a little bit of chance for you to interact with some of your classmates. Again, we have a much smaller class than last semester, so that I think will be a benefit to all of us. So you don't have to, you're not writing about anything personal in here, anything like that, or introducing yourself like you did in the first semester, but you're still going to interact with your classmates. What I want you to do is post 2 questions about programming concepts or the course in general. So make at least one of them does need to be about a programming concept that maybe you're a little confused about or you have questions about it. And if you don't have something that you're confused about, then treat it as like you're asking a question as kind of like a quiz question. So you can do it that way too. If you feel like you don't have anything you're confused about, then post a question that you think would be a good quiz question for someone else. And one of your questions can be a question just about how the class runs and operates together. Okay, so you just click the add discussion topic to do that. Do add a new discussion topic for each question that you post. Everyone should post at least 2 questions and respond to at least 1 question of a classmate. So someone else posts 2 questions, you go in there and respond to one of their questions and try to answer it yourself. I will respond to all of them in the end. Okay. Lastly, also post a response to the person that responded to your question. So you put a question in there, the person responds to that question. You should maybe have a follow-up question. You get a little dialogue going back and forth, or maybe it makes perfect sense to you now and you got it and you're just thanking them for explaining it in a way that made more sense than how I was explaining it in the first place. Okay, so we are starting this, like I said, on a Monday, and our weekend's next Tuesday. Let's say this, that everybody's first 2 questions need to get posted by Friday of this week so that there's time for people to put some responses in there and respond back by the end of the day next Tuesday. So I'd like all of our review and question forum back and forth to be done by the end of the day next Tuesday as well. So Tuesday the 24th, or Tuesday the 21st, by the end of the day, you should have all your review questions answered, and should have a perfect score on it by then, because you can take it as many times as you want. And you should have your 2 questions posted to the forum by Friday, so that by the next Tuesday, you've responded to one other person's question and then had a chance to respond again to somebody that answered a question for you. All right. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, get a hold of me on the one-on-one support forum. And then next week, we'll be posting new content. Actually, probably what we'll do next week is, I know some people, it's at the end of the quarter or the end of the semester, we were doing some things with loops and string class properties, and we could use a little more practice for that, I'm sure. So we'll probably revisit those topics and have some more programs that we write that are related to those topics there. So that'll probably be what's coming next week. So I look forward to working with you this semester. If you've got questions or concerns, send me a message. Thanks.